Okay, my slick kingdom, this is what if issei had the powers of the demon lords. Now, I know there's a lot more than the ones I'm going to state, but yes, these are the ones I'm giving him. Now, a comment of mine wanted me to do, what if issei had the power of Anos Voldiode, or was the reincarnation of Anos Voldiode? Now, one small issue with that is that I wanted to make issei even more OP, so I'm giving him some more demon lords. So, if y'all don't know who Anos Voldiode is, he's very powerful. I'll pull up a picture of it. Okay, this is Anos Voldiode. If y'all want, I can pull up a better picture. Give me a sec. This is Anos Voldiode. He is very, very powerful and a demon lord. Also, probably unstoppable. He could slay the gods in his normal form, and he can destroy deities with 10%. This is Diablo. He is very, very powerful, and he basically one-shotted an animal that could destroy the world in 7 seconds. I'm not even sure how powerful he is. He can probably destroy the world with a couple attacks. Hold on a sec. Sorry, one of my games went off. Anyway. So yeah, that's how powerful he is. He can use any magic spells that basically untouchable. So I'm going to make sure that they have all the magical spells from their worlds. And there's another person he's reincarnated as. Well, technically it's 2 people, but it's still just one. I'll show you. Okay, this is the other person/persons that issei is reincarnated as. So this is Akato Kunai. He's got long hair, he looks like an old man. This is Zero Kurasame. He is very powerful, and he has a lot of punching power. Okay, now the reason I said they're like one person is because, well, they share a body, but they have 2 different personalities. And a body transformation thing happens every time. So yes, this is what they actually look like. So issei will still be like he is in canon, he will look like... So he still looks like this, but there's one little difference than there was in canon. Actually, it's a pretty big difference, because he's got these 4 beings of absolute destruction with him. Even Zero Kurasame, even though he uses light spells, he does understand demon lords, being that the other half of him is a demon lord. And in this version, they don't share a body inside of his mind. There's 2 of them, though he won't, and he has all their gear. Hold on. So this is his magic staff. It's the most powerful one he has. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is his ring. I know it's blurry, but that's the only picture I have. It reflects all magical attacks. Okay, I had trouble finding it, but this is the only way I could. This is his scythe. Allow me to turn up the brightness. This is his scythe-looking one. It's made of wood, and it's a very weak staff, but it's a he has to use to hold back. Okay, this is the ring of Hakuto Kunai. It's very creepy, but yes, it's a ring. He wears it, and it's a really weird weapon. This is his sword. Anos Voldigo's sword. Excuse me. It's the absolute demon sword of destruction. And basically, he has a lot of swords. So yes, and this is also one of his swords. It was made by his parents. You might think it's weird that his parents would make him a sword, but yes, he needed a magic sword, so his parents made him a magic sword. Demon powers, boy. Anyway, so let's get back to issei. Sorry if there's noise in the background, guys, but yeah, there's some stuff happening in the background. Anyway, those are all the weapons that issei has from birth. Not really has, but they're all basically in the mindscape. He can take them out of the mindscape because they're real things, and he can take them out. But yeah, and issei, he's going to awaken the dragon early because he has 4 most powerful beings in existence, basically protecting him at all times. Oh, and until he gets their powers, which he grows up, and even as a baby, he can see them, and basically, it always made it they always thought he was just a calm baby when they never saw the fact that those three alone were always standing, because no one else could see it. Not unless you're like a demon or something, you couldn't see these four beings of absolute power. And the only reason you could see them then is because of magical ability of seeing the invisible. Anyway, so he's growing up and he gets scared one night. He wakes up and he had a nightmare, and Anos and all them, they are there. And he says, "Who are you?" Which he says, "Anos?" And he knows all their names because every night he has dreams, and they're in his dreams. He sees their lives and everything. And he says, "Who are y'all?" And they said, "We are you, but your past lives." And I'm going to say that they all basically do a mind link with Issei, and everyone knows this. And Issei now has all the knowledge of demons and everything that they all have, which is very, very, very much. And magic spells and all that. And Issei can use all the magic spells. One thing he cannot do, though, he cannot be killed the same way that any normal demon can. Because with overpowering power, you could kill someone, but like Anos, who can die and then straight up just say, "Okay, I'm back, not a big deal." Like nothing ever happened. He can do that. Anyway, so Issei, he awakens he awakens the boosted gear, balance breaker, juggernaut drive. All that is awakened instantly after he awakens the little one. After some time, he awakens the big one. It just keeps growing and all that, so it's fully decked out to its full power, and it's just like, how, and this is before Drake meets any of them, and then Drake says, "How is this kid so powerful?" He tries contacting Issei. Issei, knowing how to contact any of them, actually allows contact, and he contacts with all of them at once, and like, "Who are all of you?" And and Drake says, "I am the dragon of domination. The Red Dragon Emperor." And then you have Anu saying, "I am the demon that transcends gods, who will destroy everything in his path." Then you have Diablo saying, "I am the demon that comes before all. I am Diablo." Then you have Akito Kunai saying, "I am the demon that none shall beat. The unrivaled power of a demon lord." Sorry guys, I can't yell right now. I just woke up, so yeah. And Issei and all that, and Issei's there and he says, "I'm Issei. I have all their powers. Even yours now." It's just like, what? And they all basically share mind links, which is something they can do, and they all talk to each other. And it's like, wow. I'm impressed. Every one of them are very impressed at how physically powerful each of them are. Although Issei being like the weakest one there, but they all notice something. They will protect this kid because he is their vessel. And this was when he was 4. This was when he was 4. And he learns how to use the gauntlet and all that, and he learns how to use the weapons and all that. And he uses the gauntlet a lot more than the weapons, and the dragon's just smirking about that. And then they said, "Issei, let's train you with weapons too." Diablo trains him with magic. Akito Kunai trains him with staffs, magical staffs and all that. And wait, no, Anos teaches him all that he knows. Diablo teaches him all that he knows, and I'm going to say that Hakuto teaches him all that he knows, but then Drake teaches him, and he's training with Drake and all the balance breaker people at once. And then they realize something. He's stronger than everyone here. and they have to train with everyone at once. He has to train all against one, just so it's an even fight. And he doesn't even have to use the balance breaker, or even the boosted gear to keep up with any one of them after he turns 8. So he's the strongest one there. I'm going to say he gets all their weapons, but the rings are the only thing that he wears. He has the skull-looking ring on his left hand, and he has the magic repelling one on his right. And by the way it works is that any spell that hits him automatically gets sent flying back at whoever cast it, and you cannot dodge it. And yeah, that's how that ring works. And this one is just a demon ring that's just a very strong weapon. So yeah, I really don't know how it works, but yeah, they didn't explain it in the anime when I tried checking out how it works, and I didn't get any information. Sorry, but yeah. So their rings are powerful, and he learns that he's going to have to start off with weaker weapons. So he has a staff, that kind of scythe-looking staff, which is mainly made for brute force and casting some spells, but he knows that he can only use it for brute force at the moment, and casting spells so that people won't die when he casts them. He learns how to control it, kind of like Anos can do, and how Akito can do. He learns how to control his power, but it's very difficult. His physical strength is above all of them at once, and he can straight up pick up an entire mountain with a finger. And he can probably flick it away. And picking up castles like Anos did, he would do that. He could do that and then spin on his finger and said, "Yeah," and play with it like it's a basketball. If you're wondering how he'd dribble that, it's called gravitational pull. He'd drop it, it wouldn't bounce back up, but he would pick it back up and all that, and it's like a flat ball anyway. But he could just literally use a castle like a basketball and throw it around like it's nothing. Now, they all notice something. This kid's strong. And they all teach him their full powered attacks, which is, what I mean by that is how to use all the magics and stuff they have. They teach him how to do that, but it's very difficult for all of them, being that they learned how to do it over time. I want to say that being that Diablo had a leveling system, issei can go up with levels, and while Diablo is the strongest level of 150, I'm going to say that he's actually equivalent in strength to Anos, and Akito Kunai and Zero Kurosame they're all equivalent in physical ability with magic and all that. They're all equivalent. Not with, like, in their individual stats, but when they're all added up, they're equivalent. And Drake, I'm going to say his power is equivalent to all of them as well, when he was really a dragon, and I'm going to say that, well, they don't really see you. If any demon and all that can sense magic, they don't see them, but they can sense all their magical powers, which are all quite different. And this is when Issei is growing up, and he's still naive, and anytime something dare attack Issei, there's a magical barrier that they all have put over him. Now, the one that might be the most difficult to break through is Anos, because Anos spent a solid year making it, while the others didn't really take any time making it, just a couple minutes, maybe a couple hours at most. And I want to say that they all noticed that this kid has his own natural barrier with magic, and he one time says to all of them, "Why don't y'all just not? I'm fine, nothing can happen to me." And he is not weak to light because of Zero Kurosame. His power is light, so you can't be weakened by one of your own powers. So he's able to use light magic, he's able to take light magic, it doesn't matter what it's from, it's not a big deal for him. And even the strongest, he makes Sir Zex look like a joke. Just a joke, not even funny. He can use his balance breaker, but he doesn't. he will only use it if he actually needs it, which would be probably against Great Red itself, which is the only thing that can keep up with the issei at this moment. And this time, when stuff gets in canon, he thinks, they tell me all their abilities, maybe I should learn all the ones around my world. And he learns all this, and being that two of them were originally from Japan, the kind of Japan that issei lives in somewhat, and were just transported into their video game with no challenge at all. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So and I'm going to say that because Diablo was a grown man, he had already went to school and all that, and he knows all the stuff that they're going to teach in school. All of them do. They all have full knowledge of what will be taught in their school and everything and like that. But one little difference to everyone is that one really big difference in canon is that issei is unstoppable. So he actually has this kind of body shape with a six-pack and all that because he did martial arts training and he gets good grades, so people see him like this. And I'm going to say being that they're all attached as after-school clubs, in martial arts class, they just see a buff dude and they're just like, wow. And in normal class, he'll actually look like this, a super genius. So issei just keeps this look of that, so he doesn't really change that at all. But he does wear the Demon Lord rings on one on each hand, but no one really notices it. No one really cares since they all have their own accessories and all that. Now, people have asked him what they were from and all that, and he says, they just look nice, so I got them, and people think, whatever. And I'm going to say that all the women from every universe from Hakuto Kunai, from Demon Lord Retry, from How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and from the Misfit of Demon King Academy, all of the women that had loved all of those, they're reincarnated into different people. They reincarnate, which they don't have much powers or know anything about reincarnation, but they look exactly alike. Now, I'm not going to make the entire team. I'm going to say that all of them are actually demons. Which, if you want to know what I mean by all of them are actually demons, I mean like the girls. They actually all reincarnated into a demon girl body. And it's just like, wow, that was a very big flood of people at that age. I wonder why. And I'm going to say that even the elf girl and that cat girl, which I'm going to say that she's actually Konoko's twin sister. You have Konoko with an older sister, and now Konoko with a twin sister as well. But the twin sister doesn't do the same thing as the older sister. Yeah. Actually, scratch that all. They don't reincarnate into anyone, but they're actually kind of like, well, they don't really exist in this universe, I guess. I don't really have anything else. Sadly, I wanted to bring them into this universe, but I couldn't. If you have an idea for how I can, then I will, but... So, issei is attacked by the fallen angels and all that, and he doesn't even care, and he just swats them away like flies. And then they all start bowing to him. Issei knows that he'll live a while, but he won't live forever, since he's only a human at the moment, with Demon King powers. And he could basically make every single demon, angel, fallen angel, dragon, everything his pet if he wanted to. And these four, in the version, he knows that she's a fallen angel, and they start to basically date because he is a genius and all that. He does want to date someone. And he knows that she's a fallen because of Drake and all them saying, this girl's a fallen, I can already smell it on her. And they'll say, okay. And Issei says, yes, but I'm gonna have some fun. And in this version, she actually could feel a little bit of magic from him, so she was just like a human with magical powers. Could be because of his sacred gear. And she goes to throw that same kind of attack at Issei, the light spear, and it hits him in his shirt, and he basically goes back like this. It basically just rips apart his shirt. And that is all. So that is all that happened. It just rips apart his shirt, and that's not very powerful. He says, are you holding back? Fallen, and it's just like, wait, what? She thought that people, being that people always get fallen angels and demons confused, she thought that he would actually mistake her for that, but she says to him, how do you know what I am? And he says, I who shall awaken, the demon king, the dragon, the monster of the abyss. Every demon shall bow to me. And she says, what? And he says, not every demon, everything shall bow to me. And she tries to run away, and Issei just goes right past her, and then they all just warp around there to save her from what they think is too much for her. And they're all around the same strength, so they all go for an attack with the same light spears, and they start throwing a light spear at Issei from every angle, and he just takes it. He doesn't do anything to him, he just takes it. And he said, oh, so I guess this is the rest of your team. Too lightweight. They said, what? And in this version, they actually were following the orders of that dude with, like, 10 wings. Not Azazel. I forgot his name. Put it down in the comments. So, they were following his rules, and then they said, not quite. As he straight jumps in with an attack of a giant light spear. And Issei says, impressive for someone so weak. And he doesn't have demon wings or angel wings or anything. He doesn't have wings. But he does have a lot of anger and not many people to let it loose on. So he hits this dude once and sends him flying. And this was a hit that was just strong enough to knock him out. And all of them got a hit strong enough to knock them out only. And then they said, you challenged me, why shouldn't I kill you? And they all start to bow to Issei, calling him their lord and all that. And he says, oh, you're way past begging. You know this, right? And she says, but I will give you one thing. I'll allow you to bow to me. But don't ever attack me again. They don't attack him, but they can all transform to looking like someone Issei's age, and they all do. And not the fallen angel dude. He makes himself look around Rias's age. They all do, and they actually have to get into a meeting about this, everyone. And they say, why are you at my territory? And they all say, because our lord is there. And they said, who is your lord? And they say Issei's name, and they said, the Red Dragon, Emperor. And he said, no, he's more than just a demon, a dragon. He's more than everything combined. It's as if it's as if God himself specially ordered him to kill everything. And I'm going to say that Issei walked in and sang, listen, demons, angels, fallen angels, all of you are in a pain to deal with, and not very quiet about your powers. They said, what? What are you doing here? And he said, and they had been getting reports of demons, and they would go there, and they just find a corpse of a demon. The demon that was described to be there, and they just like, And they always said, how is he a thing? They all said, how is this happening? Who is doing it? And Kiva said, it could be the work of a holy weapon. I see light jars on a couple of them. And Issei makes his full power known after a couple days. They ask for his help, and he says, sure, Grimmery. And she didn't tell Issei her name. He asks how, and she says, she says how, and he says, simple. You're a demon princess, but you're not stronger than me. And she says, how dare you how dare you? She throws a hit at Issei, thinking that she'll easily destroy him and make him her pawn. He strip sends her flying with this simple swat of a finger. Do you want my help or not? I don't forgive those who attack me, and I never forget. And he sees something. Konako goes to punch at him to calm him down, and tries calming him down. She throws a punch thinking it'll knock him off his feet. He straight up dodges it and says, Aneko, you remind me of someone. And he just says, fine, I'll help. And he straight up just calmly walks. He takes the 8 pawn pieces, and they notice this is way too much power for just 8 little pawn pieces. She thinks about giving him other pieces, but she notices something. If she gave him all the pieces she had left, it wouldn't be enough. She'd have to get rid of every other person in her barrage for it to be enough, and that still would be too much power for each and every single one of them, and they might. And then you have, I'm going to say she only has those 4, that one dude with the weird, weak little dragon. The Sona, she says, I can assist with that. And she said, and he says, what are you talking about? And he straight up gets a grip, and she straight up sends her pawns, the 4 she has left, at him. And that little dude who challenged Issei, he says, who's this weakling supposed to be? He says, watch who you talk to, and said, I got 4 pawn pieces, what are you gonna do, wimp? And Issei saying, I got 12, and I still need more, little man. And this dude just like, I'm out. And he tries to run, and Issei straight up just blitzes past him and saying, you challenged me, let's go. And they said, calm down, you two. And they know that they're too weak to do it. They're way too weak to do it. But they're more than strong enough to try to calm him down. What I mean by try to calm him down, that's all they're going to do. They're going to try to weaken him, but it won't do very much. They all attack him at once, and it's just more along the lines of... And then you even have the Fallen Angels trying to calm Issei down, because he would even destroy them, being that he was angered. And you have him, and then you have the demons and the dragons. Even Zero Kurosame, they all come out of... you ought to see their spirits coming out of Issei, and they take a physical form with Issei's magic and all theirs, and they actually grab Issei and try holding him back. And then you have Drake himself trying to hold Issei back in his more human-shaped form. And they all tank, and he tanks that hit and got sent full. They'll take a hit from Issei and got sent flying. And then you have them sent. Then they have to all grab their most powerful weapon, the stronger staff for Diablo, the magic-resistant gear for Akito Kunai. Not magic-resistant gear, more like he just takes his daggers out and starts to really go all out. Zero Kurosame actually clenches his fist stronger and goes for more attack power with his punches. Anos gets his strongest sword, the Sword of Destruction. And Drake goes into his strong dragon form, the strongest one he has, and starts to boost up to his strongest amount. And they all launch their most powerful attack at Issei at once. And then he takes this and just says, "You should have known that wouldn't work. But it did calm me down enough. Congrats." And they said, "Finally, you're a lot more difficult to take down than you were in the beginning." Ooh. They all lay down. They're just like, "Who are you? And why do you all look like you're in high school?" Now, while Akito Kunai does in this version... Oh, it's Beelzebub. I've remembered the fallen angel's name, Beelzebub. So, Akito Kunai in this version will look younger, so will Diablo. They all look like they're in high school. Drake actually has a human form that looks like he's in high school, but they all notice something. Even taking them away out of Issei, he remakes their entire human bodies perfectly. But they're demon versions. But they can't last for more than 3 days without completely collapsing. They say, "We'll just go back to where we were," he say. "Don't worry." He says, "Fine, y'all's call." And they all go back to back into Issei. And he's physically stronger than them all at once, but that was when he would let loose without even going into his berserker states. He didn't even use the balance break or anything. They said, "We used all our power and we couldn't even scratch him." And I'm going to say that they can all get a hold of the balance breaker and all that. They can all use it, but it's very difficult for them all at once. Because, yes, they're powerful enough, but it's a very powerful weapon, and boosting up their strength is different for all of them. And this version, they all have 100% of their... And I'm going to say that he only had 10% of his strength at the moment. They all did because they were reincarnated. I'm going to say a reincarnation takes it where you only have a 10th of your strength. And being that after that fight, they all get 100%. And they're just like, "I'm back." And they talk to Issei, and Issei says, "You fought us all at a 10th. But now we're at 100% once again." And they all said, "Yeah." And I'm going to say that Drake had been going all out, but he wasn't boosting. He boosted up to 100% of what theirs, equal to 100% of them, which is what calmed him down, really, because he got hit by such a strong attack. But now, with all their full powers out, Issei has a run for his money. He says, "I already know all y'all's abilities, I have all the magic. I won't strive to destroy anything." And being that they're all very powerful, they said fine. And then you have the whole thing with Riser, thinking he's untouchable. He goes there, and being that he doesn't really, he says, "Rias, I don't need these." And he straight up just gets rid of all his pawn pieces from all of them, and he just takes the pawn piece from, he takes all 8 pawn pieces from Rias, but he says, "If I share these with people, would that be alright?" And they said, "Okay, but how are you going to do that without losing your pawn pieces, all of them?" And he said, "I'll figure out how." Ugh. And then he actually says, "What about your other piece, Jasper?" And this is after the whole thing with Asya, and in this version she joins Issei because Freed stabbed her and killed her, and Issei was just like, nope, and hit Freed strong enough to send him flying. Should have killed him, but Freed's one of them little guys who will never die for some reason. So just like in canon, Freed won't be killed by this, but he will be injured. So, yes, he is not killed, he's just injured. And Issei keeps training his physical strength, and that's about all he can do. And he punches. And what I mean by training his physical strength, he does train, but anytime someone angers Issei, they start seeing the silhouette of all of them. coming from right behind Issei, and there's like, no, no, because the power that they all have is more than what Issei has at the moment. But he will get that all before the series is over. So the only time Issei will ever actually fight with full power is if he really doesn't like someone, because he's more than powerful enough to take everyone down with a couple percent. But he will make a spectacle out of anyone who thinks they're untouchable, like what he's going to do to this little Phoenix boy. So Phoenix boy thinks he's untouchable, so he goes and tries making Rias his wife, like in canon. And then he says, hold up. And they're just like, who is this? And he says, I'm someone who can destroy everything at once without caring. And they see these two rings, and they know then there's legends of the demon Diablo and all. Sorry about that. Give me a fix. Okay, now Issei's very, very good with what he does, and Riser in this version said, "You're worth 8 pawns, aren't you? Then I'll just send all 8 of mine as well." And I'm gonna say Issei's friends have a boosted have dragon gears as well. Both of them little pervs, but Issei said, but because Rias didn't have a full squad, she said, okay, fine. And they get that whole week of power training thing, but in this version it's 2 weeks because, well, they have to also get, because they're allowing Gasper out. But they need 2 weeks for everyone to get the power. And they know it'll take around 1 week just to get Gasper out of there. So they'll take the other week so that they can train Gasper how to fight, and they say, okay. And Issei, he just gets Gasper out of there with 1 day, and he says, yo, get out of here, little man. And I'm going to say him and Kiba, Gasper, Issei, and Kiba, they all get together. And they're all they all wear their full, real dude clothes. Gasper's the only one who wasn't, but yeah, they all wearing their normal clothes. They get into workout gear. Normal human workout gear, and they're just like, what are these supposed to do? We can't train full power. And he just says, yeah, you can. He said they're enchanted so that they can take any amount of power that you can dish out, and then dish it right back. And then take it like it's nothing. So they're basically full powered clothes, so you can go straight up with an attack from a full power attack from Rias, and it wouldn't change the clothes at all. They say, okay. And he said, I got 2 buddies and he straight up just says, and he straight up grabs both of them saying, come on, we the boys. And they all think, what's this boy doing? He says a lie, and there's like, wait, what, pretty boy over here? How we know he won't snitch? And then you have Kiba saying, how I know you won't snitch? It's just like, whatever, let's go. And they said, now. And then they all punch, and they actually start training these dudes on how to fight, and they give them the gear and pieces and all that, and these dudes are wondering, what the fuck? Because they have never heard of devils before in their lives. But they get this power boosts. Moriyama and Matsuda. That's their names. Forgot which one is which, sadly. Anyway, Issei starts training with them, so does Kiba and Gasper, and they all train their physical strength. I'm going to say that one of their gears is called the stealing gear. It steals power from people. And it just takes power from someone. And the other one is called the mimicry gear. It can mimic any weapon or any gear that it wants. That the user wants. But Issei says the only one you need to copy is mine. And they notice that when they turn it on into the boosted gear, it looks more like the beginning version of the boosted gear, but he says it'll take a while for you to really master how to really get the boosted gear out. And Kiba, he says, sword birth. And they notice that Gasper's able to stop time with his gear, and they're just like, sweet. And Gasper training is how to,
and they all train with Gasper on how to fight too, because stopping time won't do much. Because yes, he could stop the healing factor of them, so they could just straight throw attack after attack until there's not much left of him, but he's still gonna get back up after the eyes wear off. But they said that's a good plan of attack though. And I'm going to say that they all train, and they both are worth two pawn pieces. So Issei should have just tosses them both 2, and that's going to be their full power. And Issei is actually equivalent to infinite, because he has infinite strength. And he says, okay, let's keep training. And he trains with all of them, and all the girls are training, and they'll say, and, well, the fallen angels aren't on Issei's team anymore. I want to say that they were punished because of attack, because they attacked. They actually betrayed Issei and actually attacked Rias and all them. They were punished by Azazel, and Issei said, whatever. And I won't say that big actually came out yet. He had attacked, but that was all. He did one attack, noticed he wasn't strong enough, and he disappeared. They weren't punished for attacking, because just those little ones who were killed because they attacked, but that's it. They keep training full strength, and at one point, Issei gets his full power unleashed, to where he can go to everything, and he learns how to control his Juggernaut drive. Very difficult for him, though, but the dragon is helping him with it, and all of them are helping him keep control, and they notice something. That they could use other people as an assist for it, and they'll get together, they'll open up their sacred gears and get them out and all that. And they notice that when they all put together, when he does that, they're all hanging on to, they're all touching each other, like have a hand on his back. They'll do that, and they actually have control, like they're all becoming part of the Juggernaut drive, and they're all together when they sing this chant together. The full power of the Juggernaut drive is unleashed, but all of their power is used to control it, while Issei is using to attack. And they said it's like a fusion of all their powers. And Rias and all them noticed that they can't help Issei with it, and they said, why not? And all the dragon says is, we've reached the maximum capacity of any being that will be allowed here. Rias says fine, and all the ladies go back to training. And Konako, I'm going to say Issei trains with Konako's brute force too, so she can actually get stronger. Magic-wise, he's training with Akino to get her magic up, and also he trains with, what is her name? Ossia and Rias on their powers too. And he trains Rias on how to be more tactical, and that's all that happens. He's tired, and in this version it was not just about getting the balance breaker out. And he trains his sacred gear to the point where it's actually all the way up to a chest plate already. And they said, oh, so you got a couple more helpers. And you let your little time-stopping boy out. You know it won't work very well, right? And in this version they say, wait, he's actually wearing man clothes. That's a weird thing to see on him. You're forcing him to wear it? And they said, no, he just wanted to. And he says he's got the smirk on his face like, yeah. And he gives the guys a pep talk, and he gives the girls a pep talk. And the guy's pep talk goes like this. Listen, dudes, for every one of them you beat, I will give you one wish granted of what you want. And then you have for the girls, he says, listen, for every one that you beat, I'll give you one wish. Each of you one wish for every one that certain person beats. They said, okay. if you beat one, I'll give you one wish. If you beat two, I'll give you a second wish, okay? And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have Kiba saying, with his big old smirk on his face. I'm going to say Moriatsu and Matsuda, they actually got together with Kiba in this version. And Kiba actually got... And I'm going to say that Jasper went with Issei and Konako. And and Akano does her same thing where she's from behind and all that. And Kiba and all of them and say, with this big smirk on their face, they actually all take down a single one of those three. So it's just like, yes, Issei owes us. So those three do get one wish. And then they get bomb attacked repetitively by the queen, which is like 4 bombs that takes each for them. And they said, oh no, they're taken down. And then you have Konako and them all taking down one. And he straight just takes on the other attackers. What I mean by this is that the Rook got taken down by Issei himself. Sorry about that. The 2 pawns were both taken down by one by Jasper and the other by Konako. And he says, 2 more, get a wish. Wow, I wonder what the wish is gonna be. And he's real scared what the wish is gonna be. But he knows it's no big deal. And in this version, that's when the queen tries bombing them all again. She gets stopped for a single second, but then she gets hit again because I'm going to say there was a Firebird attack flying right at Issei. And Issei goes to block it, and by the way, there's a second one that was flying right at the little guy. And he goes to block the second one, but it winds up getting hit both times. Then worrying about if he's okay, he lets his gaze off of her, and both him and Konako get hit with an explosion. Akano says, I'll take care of it, and then you hear, I can do it. And you hear, no, we'll need you later. And it's just like, oh, whatever. And by the way, when he gets hit by those two, he straight up says, not very powerful. And he goes back to, sorry about that. And Issei goes to full strength just because he needs to. And he actually starts training at full strength. By training, I mean, he's basically taking off the kiddie wheels and he's starting to say, it's been a while since I've had to really go all out. Let's see. He literally goes into his boosted gear. He goes into Juggernaut. He goes into the balance breaker first. And he hits all of them, one after another. One after another. Hit, 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 hit. Even Issei himself hadn't expected himself to be this powerful. And then Kiba, in this version, all of them go at Issei at once, and they realize something. When you hear one queen from Rias retired, you hear, oh no. And they said, Issei is the only one we have left. Rias and Asya say, Issei is the only one you have left. And I'm going to say all the pawns and all that, and they were told, well, we took everyone else out, but the bishop and the king from Rias's party. So let's take on the little pawn boy. And I'm going to say he takes all of them down. He takes all of them down repetitively, one after another, and then he starts breathing heavy. He says, Drag, Anos, Diablo, Hokuto, Zero, lend me your full power. And it's like, wait, what? He wasn't going all out? And he says, okay. And they all go into Juggernaut Drive versions of power. And they're all hitting him with full. And he hits this little dude with full power. He swings in there and goes, promotions, queen. He puts every one of his pawns pieces to queen. And he's just like, Oh no 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 no, we're about to get hurt. That's exactly what little devil boy thinks. Yeah, Phoenix, this little Phoenix dude, he thinks he's about to get killed by how strong this dude is. And he takes a hit and he's just like, he starts coughing out blood and he gets hit by holy light. Hit after hit after hit. And then one point, he lets all his power down. He's supposed to punch at Issei and just hits him real hard. And Issei's saying, won't be enough. With a gulp, you just hear, oh no. And then you have and then you have Rias who still does the suicide charge. Why though? Rias still does that whole suicide charge thing she did in canon. And Issei said, stop! And he basically made a magical barrier that surrounded both him and Riser, that they were the only two in it. And she said, no! And she thinks that Issei could get killed because of how powerful Riser is. Because she wasn't seeing Issei absolutely demolish Riser the whole time. And then Issei straight still demolishing Riser this whole time. And then he straight grabs Riser and crushes Riser repetitively with light. And he says, Dragon! And he straight breaks his own barrier, and you hear Riser just crawling backwards saying, no, 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 get that thing away from me! And he's straight up saying, repentance. And it's just terrifying, and he starts one light hit after another until there's just blood, Riser's blood, and he can't heal. His entire head is messed up and he can't heal. His entire body is basically just destroyed and he can't heal and he can't fight anymore and he just collapses. And he's just saying, now was that all you had? And he just gets stabbed in the stomach by what this little dude had left, because he didn't really let his guard down, but he still let it down enough to where he could get stabbed without anyone seeing who did it. They just assumed it was Riser. And Riser said, you thought you could beat me? Never! And he drops one of them healing things on him. And he goes to throw a punch at Issei, and Issei straight up says, you think a stab could kill me? He grabs this dude, hits him with light after light after light after light after light. It's like being absolutely demolished. And then he just says, now die. Like you said, any death will be, in the rating game, will be known as an accident. Now die. Issei said these single words, and as he's trying to run away, he actually tries yelling, I forfeit. Before he can finish the word, he gets punched where he can't say it. And punch after punch after punch. And then, when he's considered unliving, they stopped the thing. And they said, he's down. And they're all afraid by what Issei just did. And he just says, that was the only way I could stop him. They said, we understand now. You were just doing what you could. And Issei, after doing that, not even the strongest could keep up with Issei, so yeah. And that is when that little Phoenix girl, I forgot her name, she actually gets a crush on Issei. Sorry about that. She actually gets a crush on Issei, and all of them do, especially Konako for some reason. And he says, be true to yourself. And everything happens. And every fight Issei gets in is always just one punch. Until you get to where they're all going about the whole treaty thing, and that attack happens. Issei just says, destruction. And he destroys them all with one attack. And then you have him versus I'm going to say, what was his name? Loki. It was him versus Loki. And in this version, issei says, okay, puny god. He basically pulls a Hulk and says puny god and goes into Juggernaut Drive and all that and starts just whamming Loki around where he's just being destroyed. He has it for a solid 20 minutes and it's just like, whoa. And Loki can't move anymore and then Loki just says, what are you? And he says, I am the one who will never die. And he said, damn you. A plague on your houses. A plague on your houses. And he doesn't care what this means. He straight just punches the dude once and said, dispelling the curse is not an issue. And then he straight just leaves after this dude's been thoroughly destroyed. And for all those little animals that were sent at him, he thinks that the dogs are cute and the snake is pretty cool, but that's about it. Well, after this, and he straight just one punches them all. He's calmer with the dogs and just knocks them down. And the snake and all that, he just knocks them all out. And then you have the hero people who should have just blitz past issei and saying, we'll take this. And the two puppies, he says, can I keep the puppies? They said, yeah, man, we ain't stopping you. But we would like to take Finray. And you hear, okay. They basically make a deal, and he says, don't challenge us, because if you do, I'll have to be the one to stop you. And I've defeated many heroes. And they said, okay. Then you have the whole thing about going down and having to fight the whole hero brigade, and issei's just like, what did I say? It's just like, oh crap. And issei straight just blitzes past all of them and just straight takes down all of them at once and says, you're too weak. And Drip just boots everyone there. One kick. That's all it took to destroy them all. And he straight up gets all his powerful attacks and all that, but he doesn't really care for him. He says, too powerful. So he straight up just spends the rest of his demon life just training, and Cyber-Org, who he fights a couple different times, just starts training with him. And he knows that Cyber-Org's a lot weaker than him. And he straight up just helps Cyber-Org get stronger with all the gear and everything. And then they have their match. And issei says, I'll take their entire team on at once. All that stuff with all the fallen angels and all that and everything, that still happens, but just the same exact thing and different from canon. He just straight one-shots everyone. So he doesn't have to worry about anything. He one-shots everyone in a single second, so he doesn't really care about much. At one point, he just takes a beating by everyone, being that they had every one of the girls at knife point, and they'd kill them all if issei didn't do what they said. He said, they said, take a beating, and he said, okay. He stood there for a solid 3 days, taking hit after hit after hit after every hit, until the guy straight said, my wrist knife is too heavy after a day. And issei just uses this single second of opportunity and beats them all down with a single blitz. He says, puny humans. And then issei just says, that was all I needed to do, wasn't it? Oh, it's almost an hour long. Sorry, guys. Goodbye. And yeah, every fight he goes in, he one-shots everyone. So I'm gonna title this something good, but I want all of y'all to comment down below what y'all think of it. And I'm sorry it was so long. I just kind of got carried away in thought. So issei is one-shotting everything he fights, though. So sorry to the dude who made this. I know I gave him some extra powers and made him probably too OP for your liking, but I'll redo it if you want. But just tell me. And so bye.